my first ever competitive win. Well, I started going to tournaments shortly after Injustice 1 came out in 2013. So I know I was going to tournaments around like maybe May or June of 2013. And I was just going to like local tournaments in Toronto. I think I actually ended up winning my very first Toronto local. And this was in, I want to say, the summer of 2013. I want to say it was in August. And I remember winning my very first local there, and it was like a huge thing for me.
Was it Smash Up 3?
I think it might have been. How do you know about that?
Ryerson?
How do you know about that? When it comes to the Pro Series and the points in the Pro Series, right now there's DreamHack Montreal that hasn't finished yet. There's the Brazil game show tournament that's going to come up next month, East Coast Throwdown, and NEC. So outside of this event, there's 3 more premier events where we can go to and get points for it. In terms of like where the points currently are and who is where, you need to be in the top 12 to qualify through these events. So it's a pretty hard road right now to get into that spot when there's these people that have about, give or take, 200 points more than I do to be on the bubble of the top 12. But what's really good for me is that I have Northern Arena as the Canadian-only qualifier, and since I'm in that top 8 right now, if I were to win that event, I'll lock in a spot for the finals. So that's where the majority of my focus is going to be training and grinding all the matchups that I need to be able to win that event.
Here's just another blockbuster of a matchup that's going to happen before our eyes. We have got one of the prides of Canada in interesting, HoneyBee, going up against Beyond Boxing.
He took out a credit card in Beyond's name. He bought a house. This is going off.
And there we go. Just like safety. Wow, the pushback too, and got the crushing blow that every Noob Saibot player says isn't viable, that we're never going to see it. And now we see it all
First round of this Noob Saibot that we've seen today. HoneyBee looking really great right now. Yeah, definitely not, par for the course for HoneyBee. If you look at his track record from the past 3.
Oh, here we go.
This is very scary because Toxic gets that opening. He can go into the shadow, and that's going to be enough. Oh, I think he wanted it there. Gets the forward throw. This is down to the wire. What's going to be the decision?
No, last Bretson went for the raw fatal blow, and Toxic's going to take it with the raw shadow. That was an insane match from start to end, coming down to the last hit. Sensational Mortal Kombat 11 here at DreamHack. Just getting started.
Growing up, I know I played a lot of Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. I played a lot of Mario Kart as well. And I know I played a lot of Donkey Kong Country 1, Donkey Kong Country 2, Donkey Kong Country 3. And then when we got a Nintendo 64, I was playing like Diddy Kong Racing, like some racing games, some soccer games, stuff like that, not actually fighting games growing up. I was introduced to competitive fighting games. Well, I knew of the existence of competitive fighting games by mainly through watching Evo, and this was before Injustice ever came out. So I would watch like Marvel, Marvel vs. Capcom. I would watch those at Evo sometimes. I watched Street Fighter sometimes, but I was never good at it. I didn't get good at fighting games until my brother got Injustice 1 back in 2013. He brought it home and was like, hey, Tim, this game has superheroes and you can pick whoever you want. And I was like, okay, let me try it out. And then I ended up playing it a lot, got really good at it, started going to tournaments, and I found out that I actually like had a knack for it, and I just really enjoyed competing.
So this is Station versus HoneyBee. Again, not to make it out. And the winner plays Samij.
That is tough. That is tough, man.
And
taking that first round, so he's got the lead here. Good patience here by Station, but quickly getting beat out as he tries to close the gap between himself and Cassie Cage. And what a throw from HoneyBee. Station caught holding onto that block button just a little too hard of that fatal blow that hits mid-screen and hits as a mid. Back throw to seal the deal here.
Getting yeeted into that drone.
Right.
What?
What? I don't know why either player did not want to commit to anything different than just not blocking and just hitting with that mid.
Go. And Station, out of nowhere, coming to life before our eyes, is going to take us to a final game against HoneyBee. Yeet! Now that we're under 70% health, fatal blow into one mix-up can do it.
Easily, could easily do it. Jumping in and getting anti-aired again. Last chance here, not gonna have last breath, but does have less than 1%.
Oh, and bending it all in the, what looked like a forward two there at a Station, and HoneyBee gonna take it 2-1. That was a great fight at a Station, though. You gotta like that he was able to keep his head held high after that first game, where HoneyBee was just in full control from start to end. And not to lose is cool, especially getting kicked in the chest like 7 times in a row. By Coach, that was a fantastic battle.
Oh my God.
Another game 3, just like HoneyBee Station, both of those losers matches going the distance, and only to be rewarded with another tough one up next, as we've got Samij versus HoneyBee for top 16 losers.
Desperately rolling out of the corner, and Samij jumping in to continue the corner.
Now down to
Feeling. He definitely. That was just like a little twitch.
It was a glitch in the system. It was a glitch in the system. Samij.exe, baby. All right, another game 3. This is everything that I wanted it to be. Everything I wanted these brackets to turn out to be.
What a breakaway here from HoneyBee.
Fatal blow, and he's gonna hit him into it, and I think this is it.
I think this is it too. 1-1-3 does not scale heavily, whether that's as a juggle or a straight string, and I think
that is it. That Sickle's gonna do everything, and HoneyBee with the reverse 2-0 of Samij is gonna take it. How in control did Samij look after a game and a half there? Fully.
So I was first introduced to esports and competitive video games when I think it was in high school, when my friends, they were really big into fighting games. So they knew all about Evo, all about, you know, fighting game tournaments and all that kind of stuff. And I remember watching Evo online for the first time. And that was my first experience with esports and, the whole fighting game scene in general. I think esports being like a possible profession for people it's very interesting. It's very new. It's something that is like a lot of people are getting into. You see a lot of people, investors getting into like big organizations and stuff, and a lot of money being put into esports. I think it's still very, very new, and I think like as esports continues, you'll see a lot more growth. Not only in esports in general, but definitely at the FGC, and all around it'll be big in the future for sure. Definitely the dream, I think, to if esports was to get like really, really big, I would love to be at the peak of it in some way. Maybe esports is going to grow when I'm older and not really much of a player, or as competitive of a player as I can be, but maybe I would like to work in the behind the scenes, in some way. I think that would be awesome. So in college, I studied early childhood education for 2 years. Got a diploma in that. Didn't really think it was, what I wanted to do. And then I took some time off to just, work at my grocery store that I was working at part-time, and decided, I should probably go back to school and do something else. And I ended up going back for IT 2 years ago. I just graduated this year, and so I have a diploma, 2 diplomas, and I'm planning to look for a job in IT soon, a part-time job, to go along with traveling and the whole esports professional thing as well. It's definitely frustrating, day in, day out, you're focusing, you're practicing, you're trying to get better, and then, you don't see those results in tournament, and it is a little disheartening, but, this is just what we have to deal with as competitive fighting game players, You have to learn from your mistakes, you have to try again, get better, and hopefully you'll crack whatever it is that you're trying to figure out, and you'll break through the top 8, and it's only up from there.
I think in general, the competition has definitely grown tremendously in terms of just the overall skill of the pool of players, as well as a lot of newcomers like kind of coming into the scene and being very strong. Like you have people like Ninja Killa that were never around for anything competitive when it came to Injustice or Mortal Kombat X. He wasn't even like, he wasn't around at all, and now all of a sudden in MK11, like he's a legitimate threat, and he's very, very good at the game. You have like other people like Video Games Yo that kind of came out of nowhere and did really well at Celtic Throwdown. So there are definitely a lot of like really strong players, and I feel like a lot of players are definitely leveling up. There's a lot of like kind of new blood coming out. In terms of where I feel like I place, I feel like I'm in there for sure with all these like really strong players. It is difficult to do really well. Because there's just so much talent when it comes to the game, but I feel like I'm continuously improving and I'm continuously practicing and trying to get better at the game, really settle on like a main that I want to like work on, and I'm just continuing to try to grind it out and play as much as I can and try to learn as much as I can and everything that comes with just being a top player. Well, when it comes to the pro competition, I haven't been able to crack a top 8 yet, and that's definitely been frustrating because this isn't something that I'm kind of used to. When I was competing in Injustice 1, MKX, Injustice 2, I was getting top 8s like all the time. Like it wasn't really that hard. I felt like I felt like I could do it like pretty consistently. But right now I feel like, yeah, it is definitely harder to get there, but I feel like it's definitely doable.